What's up, guys? I'm Chad Barnes, and welcome to the channel. Here, it's all about real car talk, from simple fixes to smart driving tips and keeping your ride in top shape. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and make sure you watch all the way through. There's a lot of good stuff coming. Let's get to it.
By the clothes, of course. The first thing to look at is the place where the specialist works. There are a few not quite obvious observations, which I would not have thought of, if not for insider information from a very close friend with a lot of experience. So, first, if we are talking about a small workshop, a good specialist is easier to meet where there is no sale of new tires. In such tire shops rely on services and try to maintain their quality at a high level. Otherwise, simply do not survive. Store is able to save the tire store even with bad specialists at the expense of sales. True, it is rewire they usually know how. To summarize, if you want to quickly and qualitatively rewire, you can go to the store. If you need expensive but good repair of a wheel, it is better to find a warm tire shop. If altogether, then it makes sense to find a large tire center on 8 elevators and with a crowd of slightly graying specialists. A very small tire shop is a double-edged sword. If the owner himself works there, there is a chance that it is a tire fitter with experience, who sold all the kidneys that were at hand, saved up and put his workshop. But if it is clearly a hired employee, it is unlikely that he is a good professional. A high-level craftsman usually wants a corresponding salary, so he usually quickly leaves for a big company. However, and a large office, not a guarantee of quality. First, they have their own scourge, staff turnover, and it is unclear who you will come across, a professional or a newcomer. Secondly, not every company has training in principle, so someone can learn right here and now on your wheels. So let's evaluate the workshop further. You can leave immediately if everything inside is dirty. The room, and even more so the machines, must be clean. And the tire fitter himself should also be in more or less clean overalls. It is clear that in the season of rewiring, when there are queues and no time for cleaning, some small pigsty is allowed, but still. The same specialist's uniform, which has not been washed for half a year, is always visible. Now we move on to the machines. If they are only two, machine for tire and balance, it is a bad sign. There should be at least disco pravo and vulcanizer, and ideally, and washing. A good car wash costs as much as all other equipment taken together, not top, of course, so its presence in itself is a good sign. And a more important factor is the impossibility to do a quality balancing without a car wash, as I told you about in the last article. In a previous article, a wheel on the machine must be clean. It makes no sense to hang a dirty wheel on the balancing machine at all. And a good specialist knows it. He will not want to work there, and the client in such a tire will not be able to properly balance the wheels. Theoretically, a good workshop should have a hoist. But if it is not very large, jacks outside are also acceptable. Of course, provided that the space inside the room is occupied by a set of machines and not a junkyard. Banal advice is not to go to a place where there are no queues in high season. Chances are it's either expensive, bad, or both. And, of course, it is worth reading reviews on the internet, for example, on Yandex Maps. A good owner or employee follows them, thanks for the good words, tries to solve the problem of a dissatisfied customer. Discounts, intimidation, torture, physical elimination. Let's say that externally everything is satisfactory. You moved into a clean and bright workshop, where you were met by a sober master in clean overalls. What to look at next? His work, of course. With sense, with purpose. The first thing the technician does is to remove the wheel. It would seem, what can be done wrong here? If you want to, you can. As a rule, they unscrew it with a wrench and manage to damage the secret, if there is one. It is most often made of pressed rice. That's a subtle hint, yes. It is not very strong, and it is easy to knock off the edges with a wrench. Of course, after that you will have to go somewhere else and pay money for the removal of this secret. And this is unpleasant. A good master will not damage it. The next procedure is wheel diagnostics. Of course, an experienced tire fitter will see a screw in the tire while he is still rolling it from the machine to the machine, but he will not yell at the whole tire shop that this is the cause of the misfortune. The cause may not be in it, but in a crooked disc or a disc with killed paintwork, when the air leaks along the rim, in the valve, spool, or another screw. That's why a good technician will not scream with joy at the sight of a self-tapping screw, but will do a complete diagnosis. The search for leakage is different, either good old immersion of the wheel in the bathtub, or with the help of special chemistry, which is mixed with water and through the sprayer applied to the tire. The chemistry gives an abundant foam in case of air leakage, and only after the cause has been determined accurately, the master will voice his verdict and offer repair options. The normal time to disassemble a wheel is a couple minutes, no more. If the technician picks for about 5 minutes, something has gone wrong. Most likely, something is wrong with the master himself. Most often, of course, the cause of the descent is a puncture. For example, by the same self-tapping screw. There are several ways to fix it: tourniquet, fungus, or patch. Tourniquet is used in 2 cases, as a temporary solution to get to the fungus or patch, or if the tire is so killed that it makes no sense to spend money on quality repair. Therefore, if you know that the tire is good, and you put a tourniquet, it is better to refuse such a tire in the future. There is a very lazy person working here, who, most likely, sits on a salary and is not incentivized to work on conscience. Of course, standing over the shoulder of the tire fitter and watching him work is dangerous for life. No one likes such customers, so it is better not to unnecessarily unnerve the specialist. But the quality of his work can be at least approximately assessed in another way, by time. You can watch from afar, and this is much easier. If the puncture is treated with a patch, it cannot take only 2 minutes. Only those who do not follow the repair technology and apply only 1 layer of glue can do it so quickly. There should be 2 layers. The first one works as a primer, so it will not be possible to glue well in 2 minutes. Side cuts are more complicated. There are 2 possible repair methods: cold vulcanization or hot vulcanization. It is better if the tire is cooked, repaired with hot vulcanization. In this case, only the preparation takes about 20 minutes, and the whole repair takes an hour and a half or 2 hours. If it was done faster, cold vulcanization was used, which is not always a good thing. When straightening a disc, it is difficult to damage something. It is already crooked. Of course, if you want to, you can overheat or underheat the disc and a crack will open up. You can make a lot of extra scratches. You can put a die with a figure 8 on a rolling machine and ruin the disc by excessive rolling where the issue would be solved. Buy 3 blows with a sledgehammer, because such a machine does not correct figure 8s in principle. But all this can be seen only if you try to delve into the technology. And many tire fitters do not go into it. Simply put, if there is a desire to control everything, it is better to go to the workshop, where such a desire will not arise in principle. After assembling the wheel, a good specialist will necessarily check it again, and will not silently balance it. And balance you to do. Let me put a mark, then on it I will assemble. Have you heard that? Not good if you've heard it. This method is offered only by lazy people or crooked fools. A wheel after any assembly must be balanced. We've already talked about it in detail, so I won't repeat myself. I will add only one detail. It happens that after balancing a 16-inch wheel there are about 120 grams of weights on it. That's a lot. Most likely, the tire fitter was too lazy to optimize. Theoretically, it looks not difficult, like rotating the tire on the disc by 180 degrees. It happens that during mounting the heaviest places on the disc and on the tire coincide, and in this case the imbalance will be maximum. And the number of weights is off the scale. In most cases, this can be avoided by just such optimization, which is shunned by lazy people and idiots. Now it remains to see how the craftsman will put the wheel on the car. First, he must make sure that the flats are clean and press the nuts or bolts by hand, and then wrap them with a wrench. But do not tighten them. The maximum torque of the wrench reaches the prohibitive for this work 1,000 to 1,500 Newton meters with the norm on average up to 180 Newton meters. Therefore, after tightening nuts or bolts, you will still have to use a torque wrench. Interesting observation. Sometimes craftsmen know that this is the moment customers are trying to control, and they take the wrench in their hands. They even pretend to tighten the nuts. But in fact they do nothing, because the wrench has already tightened the nuts and bolts so that at best they will not be unscrewed. Next time, at worst they will be deformed. So a torque wrench in hand and a working torque wrench are 2 big differences. And, of course, a good specialist will not lubricate the fasteners with solidol or lithyl. For this there are high-temperature lubricants. Now the last tip for attentive people, not deprived of acting talent and courage. Go to the tire shop and tell the master, "I have something rubber flat." Maybe the nipple is leaking, maybe the tank itself. This tire is 17 radius. If in his eyes are the words rubber, nipple, cylinder, and radius lights up fires of hatred or contempt, if his hand reaches for a machete, in front of you is a good specialist. If he is clean and sober, you can trust him. In conclusion, distinguishing a good tire fitter from a less experienced one is essential for ensuring your vehicle's safety and performance. Look for key indicators such as certifications, customer reviews, and a transparent approach to pricing and services. A skilled tire fitter will take the time to explain the process, offer expert advice, and prioritize your needs. By being informed and asking the right questions, you can make a confident choice and ensure that your tires are in capable hands. Remember, investing in quality service now can save you time and money in the long run. Thank you for watching, and drive safely.